Welcome back. In the previous video, we downloaded Red Hat Enterprise Linux image from Red Hat website. In this video, we are going to use that image to create a virtual machine in our VMware Workstation. Looking at our VMware Workstation, when you install it from fresh, it will look like this. There is no virtual machine here. But we're going to use this information to create a virtual machine in that VMware. The virtual machine we're going to create will be 3 virtual machines. One will be called Workstation. This will be the host name of the workstation. We'll change it after we have installed it. The hard drive size is going to be 20 gigabyte. The operating system will be Red Hat Enterprise Linux 5. Excuse my spelling here. Red Hat Enterprise Linux 5, and the RAM size is going to be 2 gigabyte, and the operating system type of the software we're going to be server with GUI. So let's go ahead and start creating our first virtual machine, which will be our workstation. So in here, we can create a virtual machine either by clicking here to create a virtual machine, or we go to File and click on New Virtual Machine. Either of them is fine. I'm going to go ahead and click on Create New Virtual Machine. I'm going to click on Next, and here I will say I will install operating system later. I'm going to click on Next, and you're going to choose the type of operating system here. The operating system we're installing is Linux. I will leave it as it is. The version of Linux is Linux version 9, and the architecture is 64-bit. I will leave it as it is, but if you click on this drop down menu, you're going to choose different version of operating system you are installing. I'm leaving mine at Red Hat version 9. If you're installing version 8, 7, 6, 5, and so on, or even if you're installing Windows machine or SUSE Linux or other operating system, you can choose them from here. I will leave mine at Red Hat Enterprise Linux 9, 64-bit. I'm going to go ahead and click on Next. Then you're going to give your virtual machine a name. I'm going to call mine Workstation. And I'm going to go ahead and click on Next. The size, the disk size, we agreed we're going to have disk size of 20 gigabyte. If you look at this, you will see that our hard drive will be set to 20 gigabyte. That's what we have chosen. Then I'm going to go ahead and leave every setting as it is and click on Next. Here we'll take a look at our settings. You see the hard disk is 20 gigabyte. The memory we say is going to be 2 gigabyte, that's 2048 megabyte. The network adapter, I'll leave it at NAT, and the CPUs, we will leave it at 2 CPUs. Okay, I'm going to click on Finish. So I have created the first virtual machine. Okay, the next thing will be to install the operating system. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this CD DVD setter. Double click on that, and we're going to attach our operating system, which is the Red Hat image that we downloaded. Okay, so here I'm going to say use auto detect. Here, if I click on auto detect, then it will automatically detect the operating system, but I'm not going to leave it at auto detect. I will say use the ISO image file. So I'm going to click on browse. Then I'll go to my download folder. You see the operating system I just downloaded. Click on it. The reason why you see this one in bracket is because I have previously downloaded this ISO image, and this is another one. That is why you see one in bracket. If you download it again, you will see 2, and so on and so forth. So I'm going to go ahead and click on open. Then here, here you're going to leave everything as it is and click on OK. So now we are ready to begin installation. We're just going to go ahead and click and power on this machine, power it on. And once you power it on, you see this countdown clock is hitting from 59 seconds. You want to click inside here, okay, to stop it from counting down. If you stop it from counting down, automatically to begin to install this test media and install Red Hat Enterprise Linux 5. We don't want to install the media one, we want to install the first one. So we click anywhere in here, okay, and press any button. So we can go ahead and press the up arrow button to select the up one, or the down arrow button to select any of them, but we will select the first one, which says install Red Hat Enterprise Linux 5. Then go ahead and press enter. We're going to wait for some time for system initialization and making sure that everything is ready. In the next screen, we are going to select an option to continue. We're going to choose our language. We're going to have some other settings like the time zone, like the type of operating system, software. We will select all those and continue the installation. Just be patient. Okay, so here we're going to choose our language. I'm in the US and I speak US English. I'm going to go ahead and click on continue. If you speak other languages, you can choose them from here. In here, we want to make sure that everything that is highlighted here in is it yellow? Anything with this warning sign has to be taken care of. So if you look here, we say our keyboard is English US, we'll leave it as it is. Our language support will be in English US. The time zone, I'm in Houston, Texas, and our time clock is in Chicago. That is where I will leave it at. But if I click on it, you can decide any of these time zones. Let's say I am in Africa, for example. You can select Africa and you select your city in Africa or your country in Africa. For example, if you are in Nigeria, you select Lagos. That is where Nigerian clock is. If you are anywhere else in Africa, Brazzaville, Bissau, and so on. For those people in the other part of the world, if you are in maybe Asia, you select your city in Asia. Okay, all these cities are in Asia, Dubai, and so on. If you are in Pacific, Indian Ocean, Europe, if you're in Europe, for example, you can select Amsterdam, or you go down and select somewhere like London. If you're in England, select London. But I'm in the US, I'm going to leave it at Americas, and in Americas, I will select our time clock. Our time clock is in Chicago. So I'm going to go down to Chicago. So you want to click on done. Then the next thing is software. We'll leave this as it is for now. Installation source, we will have to leave it as it is. We're installing from our local media. Software selection is server with GUI. That is why I said here type. I said server with GUI. Okay, so in software selection, it's going to be server with GUI. We'll leave it as it is. Then the installation destination is we'll choose the disk where it will be installed. Remember that this is a virtual machine and the disk comes from our host operating system, which is our Windows laptop in this case. So you click on that and make sure that this is selected. Sometimes you might have more than one disk, but in this case we have only one disk, and this good checked mark is there, which means it is selected. We leave everything as it is and come here and click on done. Then you can see that that warning sign is gone. Care dump, I will click on care dump and I'm going to disable care dump and click on done. Network and host name, we agreed here that the host name should be workstation.lab.example.com. I'm not going to change the host name now. In another video we will change the host name, but if you want to change it here, you can click on network and host name. So let's click on the network and host name. We'll see the server's IP address and the DNS information and the default route. Assuming that I want to change the host name, which I can actually do here, I'll come here and put the host name, which is workstation.lab.example.com. In the next video, when I set up the other virtual machine, I will not set the host name like this. I will set it on the command line so you guys can see either way it works. Then you want to go ahead and click on apply. Okay, then click on done. Next is we take care of the user settings, root password. By default, a root account is disabled, but if you give root a password, you can enable that. So we click on root password here and provide a password for root. For the purpose of this lab, I am going to use the password for root will be Red Hat. Okay, and I'm going to confirm it, Red Hat. I'm not going to lock root account. I'll leave it as it is. Then I'm going to click on done. It is warning me that the password is weak. Okay, but if you still want to use it anyway, you click on done again. Then we're going to create our first user. Our first user in this system, I'm going to call it student user. I will also expect you to call your own student user, but the username will be student. Okay, I'm going to give the student password. Give a password that you can remember. I'm using Red Hat. Because the password is weak, the system wants you here that the password fails dictionary check. The password should not be a dictionary word, but in this case, if you still want to go ahead and use it, click on done twice. Click on the first done, you still have the warning. Click on the second done, then it will accept it. At this point, you are ready to begin installation. So this blue begin installation button will be highlighted if everything here is okay. Then click on begin installation. The next thing is that it's going to be a waiting game. We're going to wait for some time. When the system is fully installed, okay, we will see this button here on the bottom right here, reboot system, will turn to blue. Then we will reboot the system and the system will be ready for us to use. So we're going to wait for it to finish installing, then we'll come back and do a reboot. If you look here, the system is still being installed. It is installing 1,193 packages. Out of that, 631 packages has been installed. 644, you see, is increasing. These are the number of packages that will be installed on this operating system. We will wait until the whole 1,193 packages are installed and the reboot button will be ready for us to start reboot. So as you can see, the system is done installing. The reboot button is now blue, so we can go ahead and do a reboot. But if you look at this one in here, it says user of this product is subject to the license agreement found at user share red hat release user license agreement. Okay, if we click on that, or if you go to this if you go to this directory or to this location, you will see the license agreement. Okay, it's in the user share red hat release slash end user license agreement. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and click on reboot. The system will be rebooted, and after that we'll be ready to use the server. Okay, the system is done rebooting, and this is our workstation. Okay, this video is a bit long, but this is about one of the longest videos we ever have. But I suggest you pause the video, go forward and backward, and watch the video and set up your own workstation. I'm going to also set up another server, which will be our server A. To do that, I'm going to click on File. I'm going to go to New Virtual Machine, just like we did before. I'm going to go to Next. I will say I will install operating system later. I'm going to go to Next. It's a Linux machine, version 9. I'm going to go to Next. I'm going to give it a name. I will call it server B, or server A, sorry. The other one, workstation, this is server A. I'm going to go to Next. I'm going to leave the size to be 20 gigabyte. I'm going to go to Next. I'm going to leave everything as it is and click on Finish. So on the left side here, you see workstation, you see server A. So I'm going to go and click on this CD/DVD setter. When you click on that, you come here, you will say use ISO image file. Already 9.5 is already pre-selected for me. I'm going to just go ahead and click on OK. Then I will start up this operating system. But before I start this up, we mentioned that we're going to use 2 RAM. I'm actually going to change this to 1 because this is a minimal install. We don't need to have 2 megabytes of RAM. So I'll click on memory and I will change it. Instead of 2 megabytes, I will say 1 megabyte, 1 gigabyte. 1 gigabyte is fine. So I'm going to say OK. So the memory is now 1 gigabyte. So I'm going to go ahead and power on this machine so I can begin installation, just like we did on the other workstation. So again, I'm going to click any button here and press the up arrow one to select the first one to install Red Hat Enterprise Linux 9.5 and press enter. Again here, I'm going to select English United States and click on next or continue. Here again, you want to make sure that all the warnings are taken care of. I'm going to go to installation destination. If I click on installation destination, you want to choose your partitioning. Click on that and make sure that this is checked. Then click on done. Then go to kdump, click on kdump and disable the kdump, click on done. Go to your network and hostname I'm not going to change it right here. I'll show you how to change the host name on the command line later on. Software selection. Before we left our server with GUI, we're going to use minimal install here. Minimal install, and click on done. The minimal install will install just the basic configuration that we need to run a server. It's not going to be graphical user interface like we did in the workstation. It's just going to be the command line. Then under the root password, I'm going to select my root password here. I will use Red Hat as my root password. Put the same thing here and click on done twice. Then for user creation, I'm going to call my user student user, and the username will be student. I am going to require a password to use this account, and the password will be Red Hat, and I'm going to type Red Hat again and click on done and done again. Then I'm ready to begin installation. Click on begin installation and wait for it to continue running until if it is fully installed. Then we will see the reboot button here turn blue. Then we will install it. This will not be it's not going to take as much time as the workstation because this contains less packages. You're going to see the number of packages we are installing here. In the workstation, we installed about 1,109 something packages. This will be much less than that, as you're going to see in the next couple of seconds when the number of packages shows up here. As you can see, the number of packages we are installing is only 428 packages. Out of it, 100 and something has been installed. You can see how fast it is moving. So in the next couple of minutes, this will be done and we will click on reboot the system. Okay, again, the server is done installing. I'm going to go ahead and click on reboot. Okay, so the reboot has been done. As you can see, unlike the workstation, this is just showing you the login prompt. Just to log in. Is not a graphical user interface like you're seeing here in the workstation, where you will see your student user here and it's asking you to log in. In server A, it's just showing you the login prompt. So this is how to install the minimal version of the operating system, server A. So the next thing now we're going to do is to install server B. But I'm not going to go through the whole process of installing server B again, just like as I did with server A. What I'm going to do is to clone server A and we will have server B. Before I can perform a clone of server A, I will have to shut it down. Click on this drop down arrow here and click on power off. Make sure you do that while server A is selected. Click on power off. So server A is now powered off. To clone this server A, while it is selected here, you can click on VM, then click on manage here and go to clone and click on next and click on next. You want to do a full clone. The full clone will get a new IP address and a new network interface and a new MAC address that will be independent of the previous one. But if you select a linked clone is just a reference to the original virtual machine and requires less disk space to store, but it cannot run without access to the original virtual machine. We want two of them to be independent. That's why I want to select create a full clone, which is a complete copy of the original virtual machine at its current state. This virtual machine is fully independent but requires more disk space to store. Select the second one and click on next. And you're going to call it a name. the name selected here is clone of server A. I'm just going to remove that and call it server B and click on finish. Then that will clone server A and call it server B. Click on close. Momentarily you will see server B show up here. You see, so we now have our lab set up. We have 3 virtual machines we're going to be working with. We have server A, we have workstation, we have server A, and we have server B. So in the next video, we're going to see how to actually use these virtual machines and perform more lab setup. Thank you for watching. Again, my name is Richard Igwebu. I will see you on the next video.